Think back to the very last time you quietly cried. You were probably in your bedroom, door closed, lights completely off. Maybe your face was buried deep inside a heavy pillow. You made sure nobody could see you, nobody could hear you. You viewed that isolated moment as the ultimate human weakness, a shameful biological flaw you are always supposed to hide. You have never once thought of those tears as technology, but they are actually your greatest survival weapon. We are taught to suppress it. We wipe it away quickly in public. We apologize for it in private. We treat emotional crying as a malfunction of the brain, a temporary breakdown of our logical selves. But that assumption is entirely wrong. We look at a dog whimpering, a primate shrieking, or a bird calling out in distress, and we think we are doing the exact same thing. We are not. Look closely at the animal kingdom. The strongest predators do not weep. The most intelligent apes do not weep. The most social mammals do not weep. They vocalize, they physicalize, they do not cry. Evolutionary biology reveals a biological absolute. Humans are the only species on the entire planet that shed emotional tears. This was detailed by evolutionary psychologists, including extensive syntheses by researchers like Ad Vingerhoetz, and findings published in the Journal of Evolutionary Psychology. Every other creature produces tears solely to clear dust or lubricate the eye. We are the only living beings whose raw feelings physically leak from our faces. This is not a biological error. It is an exclusive, highly specialized design. So here is the question. Evolution is ruthless. It brutally eliminates any behavior that wastes precious energy or creates unnecessary vulnerability. Crying blurs your vision. It consumes physical energy. It leaves you temporarily incapacitated. By all logical measures of survival, a blurred, exhausted, and emotionally compromised primate should have been erased by natural selection immediately. Yet, nature not only kept this exhausting reflex, it amplified it. It made it central to our existence. Why would evolution preserve something that makes us so completely defenseless? The answer to that question changes how you should view every tear you have ever shed. It requires us to abandon everything we think we know about strength. To understand why we weep, we must step out of the modern bedroom. We must go straight back into the brutal, unforgiving dark. For the first 290,000 years of human history, surviving the night was an impossible puzzle. And the solution our ancestors found was not made of stone or fire. Picture yourself standing in the endless, freezing darkness of the prehistoric savanna. You are entirely exposed to the elements. You have been severely injured during a hunt. Or perhaps you are overcome by a crushing sense of terror, surrounded by your small band of gatherers, huddled together against the cold. But beyond the dim glow of the dying fire, the night belongs to the predators. The apex hunters of the ancient world are circling, listening for the slightest sign of weakness. If you scream in agony, you die. If you wail in despair, the pack finds you. If you make a single vocalized sound of distress, you do not just endanger your own life. You instantly condemn every single person sitting beside you. Sound was a beacon for death. Silence was the absolute rule of survival, but your body still needed a way to beg for help. You needed to scream without making a sound. This is the exact moment human biology did something extraordinary. It rerouted your internal panic away from your vocal cords and pushed it directly into your eyes. You began to weep. The moisture spilled down your cheeks, catching the faint light of the embers. Evolutionary psychology reveals that emotional crying actually developed precisely for this incredibly brutal environment. It functioned as a highly sophisticated visual distress signal. A silent alarm. When a lone wolf is injured, it howls, broadcasting its physical vulnerability to the entire forest. When a prehistoric human was suffering, they wept. You could sit inches away from a completely lethal predator, silently terrified, and still successfully transmit your desperate need for protection to the humans sitting closest to you. The tears communicated your absolute vulnerability, but they only communicated it to the people who were near enough to see your face. Tears kept the predators blind, while making your pain vividly visible to your family. But the brilliance of this biological reflex did not stop at simply keeping you quiet. It fundamentally changed the brains of the people looking at you. Seeing your emotional tears did not just inform your tribe that you were suffering. It physically and permanently altered their internal neurochemistry. The sudden sight of your crying face immediately triggered a massive release of oxytocin in the brains of your fellow humans. It forced them to feel empathy. It compelled them to move closer, to comfort you, to protect you, and to share your emotional burden. The tears acted as a biological superglue. They bound small, fragile groups of ancient humans together in a hostile world. You did not survive the night because you were the strongest animal in the dark. You survived because your tears forced someone else to care. The silent weeping did not ever make you physically weak. It actively built the infrastructure of human survival. Crying allowed ancient humans to forge the single most indestructible material in the history of our species, the absolute power of mutual trust, and then we built the walls. You are back in your bedroom right now. The door is closed, the lights are off, you are hiding your face inside that heavy pillow, terrified that someone might hear you. Somewhere along the journey of human history, we fundamentally misunderstood what it means to be strong. We convinced ourselves that crying is a shameful vulnerability that must be locked away behind solid walls. We created private spaces, silent rooms, and locked doors to conceal the very mechanism that was explicitly designed to keep us connected. Ancient humans never had a door to close. They lived their entire lives exposed to the dark, and they survived it because they allowed their pain to be completely visible. Their tears were a biological tether, an unbreakable thread pulling their people closer when the world became too heavy to bear alone. They wept, and they were instantly surrounded by warmth. They wept, and they were entirely understood. Today we live in the absolute safest physical environments that our entire species has ever known. We no longer have to fear the dangerous shadows of the ancient savanna. Yet we are now experiencing a massive global epidemic of profound human isolation. We are deeply and quietly lonely. We have taken the most sophisticated tool for human connection ever created by nature, and we have deliberately buried it in the dark. We wipe our cheeks before anyone can notice. We apologize for our biology. We swallow our distress and pretend we are entirely fine. We built physical walls to give ourselves absolute safety. But in doing so, we accidentally built psychological walls that block the very signal we need to survive our modern emotional wilderness. We isolated our tears. We cut the tether. For thousands of generations, humans cried to pull each other out of the freezing darkness. They built intimacy not by hiding their suffering from the group, but by trusting the group to see it. We have fully replaced that deep biological trust with empty rooms and tightly locked doors. Nature specifically gave us a silent language to ensure we would never have to suffer by ourselves. Then we built walls, and we have been quietly crying behind them ever since.